I'm excited about this video because we will explore one of the most popular prime lenses for micro four thirds cameras, the Olympus M.Zuiko Digital 17mm f1.8. A nice looking lens, but in this video we will see how good it is, going from physical aspects to image quality tests. I have to say, I like this lens a lot. When you mount it on a camera, it will not add too much to the size and weight of that camera. On top of that, 17mm on micro four thirds offers a highly versatile wide angle, perfect for street photography and many more things. Let's see what the 17mm offers. First thing, build quality. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's a good-looking lens. It takes you back to the good old film days. As I'm holding the 17mm, three words come to mind: solid build quality. It has an all-metal design, and if you want to use manual focus, you just pull the focus ring that turns very smoothly. Everything about this lens is premium, except one thing. On the back, next to the metal mount, we don't see a weather sealing gasket. Unfortunately, Olympus doesn't offer weather sealing on their least expensive prime lenses, but other than this, they are excellent when it comes to build quality. Second thing, compatible cameras. The Zuiko 17mm works on micro four thirds mirrorless cameras, which means that you can use it on both Olympus cameras like my EM10 Mark III, but also on Lumix cameras like the G90. It's great that you can mount it on cameras from different brands. Let's see the focal length. The full frame equivalent of this lens is 34mm. It offers a wide angle that most street photographers want. The Zuiko 17mm is highly versatile, good in tight spaces and for the action that's happening right next to you. On top of that, you can also use it for landscapes and portraits. If I were to pick a single prime lens that I can use most of the time, I would choose something like this, a lens that offers the 35mm full frame equivalent. It's wide enough to capture more of your surroundings, but not so wide that it suffers from distortion or makes everything look like it's far away. It gives a natural look. It is simply one of the best fixed focal lengths. I will show you more photos at the end of this clip. As most of us know, sensor size influences lens size. A lot of people bought the 17mm because it's very small. Basically, it is one of the smallest prime lenses in the world. It will make your camera longer with just 5.7 centimeters, and when it comes to weight, it will only add 120 grams to your setup. There aren't many lenses that offer this much portability, so it's perfect for everyday photography. Now, as you will see later in tests, the minimum aperture f1.8 offers nice bokeh. It has 7 circular aperture blades that gives a natural blur. On top of that, this wide aperture will be very useful in low light situations. The maximum aperture value, just in case you were wondering, is f22. Regarding focusing, good news for video shooters. The Zuiko 17mm will focus in complete silence, so you won't be hearing any strange noises if you're using the camera's internal microphones. Focusing speed is also nice. It's quick, precise, and I haven't noticed too much hunting. Although the lens doesn't have image stabilization, camera shake shouldn't be too much of an issue because of that wide angle. On top of that, most micro four thirds cameras come with in-body image stabilization. As you can see here, with our lens attached and with IBIS turned on, the footage is stable. Okay, we covered the physical aspects, now let's see how good are the results in my image quality tests. First one, sharpness. At the widest aperture in the middle of the image, we see something that we like, good sharpness, but contrast is average and we do see some chromatic aberrations on contrasting edges. If we close to f2.8, we get an improvement, less chromatic aberrations, and sharpness and contrast looks great. Although the image is rich in details, only at f4 we get rid of those chromatic aberrations. Let's now switch again to f1.8 and see the corner. At the widest aperture, sharpness and contrast levels are not good, but it's not awful. Again, we do see some chromatic aberrations, but if we stop down to f2.8, we get a big improvement. If we want to see good sharpness, contrast, and almost no chromatic aberrations, we'll have to stop down to f4. There are no improvements at f5.6 and the image stays sharp until we reach f11. If we close more, diffraction starts kicking in, as we can see now at f14, and at f16 the image is just too soft. When it comes to sharpness at normal distances, this lens has a performance that is on the good side of average. Not great, but not bad. In the middle of the image, sharpness is looking good, the corners are okay, but what bothers me are those chromatic aberrations. Fortunately, they go away at f4. Second test, distortion and vignetting. All in-camera corrections are turned off and the Olympus 17mm shows a slight barrel distortion. It's not an awful result, but they could have worked on this lens to show straight lines. Regarding vignetting, we see dark corners at the widest aperture, but they look a lot better if we close down to f2.8. If we close more, we won't see significant improvements. Close-up image quality. We are at 25 cm away from the subject, the minimum focusing distance of this lens. At f1.8, we see decent sharpness and moderate contrast. If we stop down to f2.8, we see a good result. This lens is a good performer in close-ups. If we close even more, we will see just a small improvement, but where sharpness and contrast is excellent. When the sun rays are directly hitting the glass, contrast levels drop quite a lot, but I've seen worse performances than this one. We do see some flaring, but it's not bothering, so against bright lights, this is a performance that is on the good side of average. Finally, bokeh. The f1.8 aperture should help here, but let's not forget this is a wide-angle lens on a micro four thirds sensor camera. Despite this, we see a good performance. On close-ups, that 7-bladed aperture Olympus designed does a good job. Bokeh looks good even with a busy background. I even went farther away from the subject and at normal distances, we get a decent subject separation. If we get closer, we see a good performance, and as you can tell, for a portrait, the 17mm is very usable. I enjoyed taking photos with it. Even if we get farther away from the subject, we still get a nicely blurred background. A good result for a wide-angle lens on a micro four thirds sensor camera. In conclusion, the Olympus 17mm f1.8 has great build quality, a versatile wide angle, and it's small. On top of that, its image quality is good enough for everyday shooting. There's no wonder why this prime lens is so popular. Now, what is your opinion about the 17mm? Please write your thoughts below in the comment section, and if you enjoyed this video, press that like button. Now, as promised, I will show you more photos taken with this lens. See you in the next video, guys.